Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the best and some of the worst recordings of Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker, the complete ballet. You know, you don't have to listen to this thing at Christmas time. I mean, I don't, since I don't celebrate Christmas. I listen to it all the time. It's such a wonderful piece. It's actually, kitties. It's such a wonderful piece. You know, it's got a symphonic cast to the first act, and then the second act is just this nice, relaxing thing. I have to confess, I can't stand to watch it live. I mean, I've seen it like 30 billion times. I mean, it used to be on television every year. It still is, I'm sure. It has no point. I mean, the first act is fine. I mean, the first act is okay. You know, you've got the party, you've got the battle with the Mouse King, you've got the transformation scene, and then Clara and the prince go whizzing off to Candyland. And then Act 2, they sit on a bench, and people dance, and they do the Nutcracker suite. And I would so much rather just listen to it without the people out there. I mean, I just never got over Clara and the prince sitting on the bench. You know, and because it's ballet, they can't just sit, like, they sit. No, they have to go like this. They sit. You know, one of them has their arm draped over this, and and then they do this, and occasionally, their legs move. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, the Nutcracker was originally intended as half of a double bill with Tchaikovsky's also extraordinarily uninteresting opera Yolanta. Or Violanta, whatever you want to call it. It's about a blind girl who gets her sight back or dies, or I don't know what happens. I couldn't care less. And the Nutcracker survived as the good half. And the opera's not, it doesn't do it for me either. That's just me. I mean, but the Nutcracker music itself is stunning. I mean, it really is. It's a glorious melodic confection full of amazing orchestration and incredibly great tunes, and it richly deserves its popularity, and it's performed, both complete and in suite form or extended suites or excerpts of suites or mixtures of things. I mean, every which way you can imagine. But in this particular video, we're talking about the complete ballet, which isn't very long. It's about 84, 85 minutes. I mean, it's as long as like Mahler's Second Symphony, not as long as Mahler's Third Symphony. So there's really no reason why we shouldn't play the whole thing. I mean, it really would make a wonderful, half a concert all by itself. I mean, Tchaikovsky intended it as half an evening in the theater. I mean, it's exactly the right length for that sort of thing. So I have a pile of performances here. It can't possibly cover all of them. Most of them are very, very good. It's the kind of music that conductors tend to do well, and that also, in a way, kind of plays itself because it's just so tuneful and so magically scored and so much fun to listen to. I mean, if you blow the Nutcracker, then, something's seriously wrong. So let's talk about someone who, not surprisingly, blows the Nutcracker. Simon Rattle with the Berlin Philharmonic. Of course. Now, the Berlin Philharmonic can play the crap out of the music. I mean, they've done it. They did it for Rostropovich and the Nutcracker Suite, that fabulous disc he did of Tchaikovsky ballet suites. Karajan did it. I mean, they know how to do it. It's not they can play it really well, and they do play it really well. They just play it completely without character. And Simon Rattle has made a career avoiding Tchaikovsky, and now we know why, you see. He doesn't seem to have any feel for the thing. He basically plays it quickly. The orchestra is one of, it's in its, look at how well we can play mode, which is fine, except it's not look at how well we can play Tchaikovsky mode. It's abstract, if you want to call it that. It doesn't have any charm. There's nothing remotely interesting in anything Rattle does. It's just, it's half live, half studio. And they just basically blow through the score without any sort of interest whatsoever in what they seem to be doing. So this is the one that you should not get if it's still around. I mean, it may be. Who knows? Anyway, where do I put these things? I have very little space here on my desk. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Now, all of these other ones have their strong points and some weak points, but basically they're all pretty good. First, Rojdetvensky. If you want the traditional Russian Bolshoi Nutcracker thing, this is the one to get. It was on Melodia. This is Melodia BMG, and now who knows? I mean, there is a box of Tchaikovsky ballets that was out of Melodia. I don't know what's going on with Melodia. I don't know what's going on with Russia. I don't know what's going on with any of this stuff. It's a lovely performance. You know, it was recorded in 1961 in fabulously vintage, screechy, not great Melodia sound, but it is authentic. I mean, it's got all the right tempi and everything's where it ought to be. So it's fun to listen to. It really is. The orchestra is the Bolshoi. No, it's the chorus. The orchestra, it's the Bolshoi Orchestra, of course, of Moscow. So, it doesn't get much more authentic than that. And I have to point it out for that reason alone. It's kind of fun. If you want a more modern Russian version, there's this one with Vladimir Yurovsky on pentatone. This is a very exciting performance, actually. It's with the State Academic Symphony Orchestra of Russia, Yevgeny Svetlanov. Whatever that means. And the Sveshnikov Boys Choir of the Moscow Choral School. Sveshnikov, was that fabulous choral conductor who did that amazing Rachmaninoff Vespers. Remember that? Anyway, this is, the whole Yurovsky family. They're wonderful conductors, and this is an exciting and well recorded Nutcracker, recent vintage. I don't want to just sit and talk about all the older ones here. Which is tempting to do because most of the best recordings are older ones. So we will get to them, in due course. It's definitely worth hearing, and it should be available. Which is I don't know how available some of these things are. I checked. I did try and look. One of the ones which is not available, and which I really wish were available, is Charles Mackerras on Telarc. It's a wonderful performance of the score, but it was made as a film soundtrack, to a film of the Nutcracker Ballet, and it doesn't have the glowing, fabulous sonics that Telarc is famous for. Actually, none of their LSO recordings sound as great as some of the other recordings that they did in various other locales. But Mackerras is Mackerras. He's a fabulous Tchaikovsky conductor. If you could find it, that's great. I looked on Amazon, and if you look at the Amazon listings, you see 6, 7, purported, alleged availabilities of it. You can find it used easily enough. But when you look for new copies of it, of just the CD or something, and you click on the thing on Amazon, you get a totally different performance entirely with the wrong cover. It's very frustrating and just ridiculous. So, that's a pity. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, look. Richard Bonning. All right. This is actually coupled with Offenbach's Le Papillon on this Decca twofer, and there's a box set of all the Tchaikovsky ballets. Now, Bonning, of course, was a dedicated, devoted ballet conductor, and he dug up all kinds of great ballet music. But, in this work, we have to be honest, he wasn't the best conductor out there. There are more persuasive Tchaikovskyians and ballet music conductors than Bonning was. It's good. It's good. And he does nice things to sort of shape the way it might be heard as if it were actually being danced. You hear, little adjustments and things that I think are sort of characterful and nice to listen to. He's got the National Philharmonic, which of course doesn't exist. It's a pickup orchestra. And that may be part of the issue too. It's well played, of course, but it's not fabulous. So, it's there. It's not great, not terrible. It's Midland. Another Midland is this one. Nimi Yarvi with the Bergen Philharmonic. Yarvi treats this very abstractly. He treats it as a symphonic score, and some of it's dazzling. The opening scenes, he just whizzes right through a lot of it. It's really amazing. He gets through the whole thing in 84 minutes. It's on one disc. Not the fastest, by the way. We're coming up to that one. But it's pretty darn quick. And you wish at some of the big moments, like when the Christmas tree goes up, and maybe in the Waltz of the Flowers at the end, that he did a little bit more to revel in the succulence of the instrumental timbres. The Bergen Phil plays beautifully. The sound is lovely. So it's actually kind of characterful in its way. Not conventional, but if you've got 30 billion nutcrackers and want to hear a different view and you like excitement, Yarvi is really exciting. I mean, some people dislike his haste in this piece, his lack of sentimentality, but I find it kind of refreshing. I mean, when it's done well, as opposed to just being done boringly like Simon Rattle does. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Fastest, the speed demon effort is this one. Yarvi Gergiev with the Kirov Orchestra. This is 80 minutes and 58 seconds or something. It's the fastest Nutcracker anyone has ever done. Now, as we all know, absolute speed is not always determinative, because what matters isn't how fast the thing is overall, but what the internal contrasts are. And Gergiev gets the internal contrasts. He does. It's exciting and it's well played, and again, it's another sort of symphonic version of it, which is interesting because Gergiev is a theatrical guy, but I can't imagine this ever being danced. It just blows by, and it's a lot of. I enjoy it. I thought it's a lot of fun to listen to. It wouldn't be my only one, but it's also on one disc, and so it was on Philips. Now I guess it's on Decca if it's on anything at all. I don't know. I got a couple of them just in case it vanished, and of course it did. Next, oh yes, this one. Maurice Abravanel with the Utah Symphony. I talked about this in a separate video. This is a wonderful Nutcracker. This has charm, it has character, it has the right style. Abravanel was a theater guy to the tips of his fingers. He understood Tchaikovsky, he was devoted to Tchaikovsky, and the Utah Symphony is not the world's greatest ensemble. They're not terrible. They certainly have the music in their veins, and they play it quite well. It's nicely recorded. It's just one of those performances you listen to and you just go, yes. It's the way the music's supposed to go. It doesn't try to score any crazy points. It doesn't have any weird special effects. Yarvi has some of those, like bells and things and whatnot. But here you've got just lovely Tchaikovsky Nutcracker, like sitting by the fireside when you were a kid, watching it on TV or listening to it the way it's supposed to sound. It's lovely. It's on Vox, and Abravanel was so underrated and so dedicated to his orchestra, and he made amazing recordings. He really did some really fabulous stuff, and some very average, mediocre stuff, of course, but his Tchaikovsky was usually very, very good, and this Nutcracker is really one of the better things he did. Then we've got, Andre Previn and the London Symphony. This got lots of attention when it came out, largely because it was Andre Previn and the London Symphony, and we had the English press behind it, and rightly so, because Previn was a fine conductor of Russian music, and he had the LSO in terrific form most of the time while he was there, and they were usually pretty well recorded. Not the best recording here in the Nutcracker. This is the box that has all three Tchaikovsky ballets in it, but the Nutcracker, I think, was the best of the three, which is true of a lot of people who did batches of them. And it's a fine performance. Nothing goes wrong, to put it that way. It's colorful, it's characterful. Remember it had that blue cover with like the Nutcracker on it? I had the single release as well, along with the box here, and I still enjoy it. I really do. It's well paced, and it does all the right things. If you like a more sophisticated, possibly elegant Nutcracker, go for Ozawa. Yay! On DG with the Boston Symphony. This is really beautiful. Ozawa did the complete Swan Lake, which was gorgeous. He did a bunch of ballet scores that were wonderful. Remember, he did Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet, and he did Swan Lake, and he did the Nutcracker. And thank goodness, this is coupled with Romeo and Juliet, actually, with the San Francisco Symphony, that early Ozawa recording. But boy, oh boy, do they play this magnificently. I mean, this is what the Rattle Berlin performance should have been. That is elegant, fabulously well played, stylish, poised, classy, but with all the character and charm that Rattle does not have, and the Berlin Orchestra is not interested in producing. This has all of that. And it's absolutely splendid. So, it's one of the great Nutcrackers. No question about that. We're in the great Nutcrackers now. All the great Nutcrackers. I do want to mention best coupling. It's one that I've got sitting somewhere in a pile of stuff. I think it's under G. It's the Ashkenazi with the Royal Philharmonic, because it's got Glazounov's The Seasons attached to it. And I usually keep it under G because the performance of The Seasons is wonderful. It's almost better than the performance of the Nutcracker. So I'm just mentioning, if you want to have two like totally great ballets, and you could find Ashkenazi with the Royal Phil on Decca, oh yeah, that's worth considering too, because it's very well recorded, and both works are done very stylishly, and it's just lovely. So just throwing that one out there. The trouble is, like I said, it's availability. If you can find some of these things, it's getting harder and harder and more irritating as time goes on. Now, Slatkin. Slatkin is just a great Tchaikovsky conductor. He always has been, always will be. His Tchaikovsky ballets are fabulous. These are my Swan Lake is just to die for. The Nutcracker is sensational. It came originally in this big cardboard thing with like a, like a pop-up card sort of stuff. It was very, very, popularly packaged, let's put it that way. Now, these have been reissued multiple times now, this box of the 3 Tchaikovsky ballets, and this Nutcracker is just a delight. I mean, the St. Louis Symphony plays fabulously. Slatkin is also a classy guy. He has all of the color and drama in the music, but it's all paced beautifully, and it's stylish, and it's elegant, and he gets where the music wants to go, and he knows how to phrase a melody, and it's, all the stuff we sort of expect with Tchaikovsky people, and so seldom get these days, and they're marvelously well recorded. It's a wonderful box, actually. The whole box is great, and I've talked about it numerous times. But the Nutcracker is primus inter pares in this box, first among equals, because they're all splendid performances. They really are. So that's worth considering. However, we'd have to get to however land. The Nutcracker guy, and you knew this was coming from the beginning of the video. I mean, those of you who know the Nutcracker, was Antal Dorati. And he did it twice. Ta-da! First, he did it with the London Symphony, it was the London Symphony, for Mercury Living Presence. It was one of the earliest recordings of the complete Nutcracker. It's absolutely wonderfully exciting and delicious and vividly recorded. And it sold billions, and it was, the reference recording really for like decades until this one showed up with Antal Dorati and the Concertgebouw, the remake. It's a little bit slower, but it's also beautifully recorded by Philips, now Decca, if it still exists, and gloriously played by one of the great orchestras for like this kind of music, where you have to have lots of character and the woodwind parts, and the individual soloists really get to do something with their melodic lines. And Dorati he was a ballet conductor. I mean, he's a great conductor in this music. He knows how to pace it, and it's played magnificently. Not necessarily better recorded than this original brilliant one on Mercury Living Presence. It's a little bit lacking in bass. Philips recordings always were, until sort of the end of the analog era, when they finally figured out how to get bass into their Concertgebouw recordings. But it's fantastically well played and vivid as hell, and it's absolutely wonderful. So if you're getting Nutcrackers, then you've got to have a Dorati, one or the other. You could pick. This one might be a little bit more balletic, a little more danceable. This one might be a little bit more symphonic, but this is where we start, and then after that you can add on as the mood takes you. So there you have it, my friend. I think, my friends, there you are. Yes, I think this is about 14 or 15 of them. And like I said, there's a batch more. I've got a batch more sitting around, in various places that I could pull out. But I think this gives us a good overview and plenty of options for your holiday listening, if that's when you listen to the Nutcracker. But, do yourself a favor and listen to it in July. I mean, it works just as well. It really does. So keep on listening, friends. And if it's that time of the year, then happy holidays. Take care.